Okay, so I feel like it's kind of necessary I talk about the recent chapter, and more specifically, I want to talk about the time traveling aspect of the recent chapter and what I think this could mean for the future of One Punch Man, and what I personally feel about this whole addition of time travel in One Punch Man. But of course, before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new, because if you can't already tell, I post a lot of One Punch Man content. If you like One Punch Man, this place is definitely for you. So let's just get into it. Now, starting off with, I guess, just a quick brief summary of what happened in the last chapter. Now, in the last chapter, Saitama versus Garo pretty much just came to an end. Like, Saitama beat Garo. He did a serious sneeze, like a serious fart. He did a few serious punches, I'm guessing. Garo kind of regretted what he did after seeing Tario, and he basically tried to perform a move and told Saitama to copy this move because he knows Saitama can probably do it way better than he can. And this, I guess, ability slash move was time traveling. And Saitama, I guess, can time travel now, I guess. And I guess God also took away Garo's power. Well, this is kind of weird because technically this didn't happen. So don't worry, Garo is not dead. Just for those out there that are a bit confused, Garo is not dead because, as we see in the last chapter, Saitama time travels and he goes to where Garo just turned into Cosmic Garo, like the very beginning of the fight, and just takes him out from the get-go. He punches him in the face and Garo releases gas from his face, and he pretty much gets defeated in one punch. And we see that after this, Saitama's previous past self combines with the the time traveling Saitama, and they become one basically, and I guess makes the fight less substantial in my opinion. I feel like the fight was a lot more impactful without the time traveling, and let me explain. Now, I'm sure a lot of you might like the time traveling, or some of you might not like the time traveling like I do. Personally, I'm not a big fan of it. I don't hate it. I still love One Punch Man. I'm still going to be covering it, but this is definitely a questionable move, just in my opinion. I feel like this time traveling thing is bad because, the whole Genos dying, it was pretty difficult. I was kind of thinking how is this going to work out, and I originally thought that the core was going to be the main factor in keeping Genos alive, which makes sense because the core was still intact. So Genos just needed to just kind of be repaired again. As long as the core is still intact, which acts as his heart, it could all be resolved normally and without completely making the fight non-existent in the first place, which is my biggest qualm with this whole time traveling thing. The fact that Saitama versus Garo basically didn't happen, the whole going to Jupiter IO basically didn't happen because, the whole time traveling thing just made it just erased it from existence. And I mean, I guess this is also plays into the part of Saitama not being recognized, because I'm sure if people recognize, or people that saw Saitama do this whole thing with Garo, people like Bang, Blast, they could have at least vouched that Saitama is the one that killed Garo. And I'm less so Blast, because Blast doesn't really get involved with the Hero Association, but at least Bang would have been able to put in a good word for Saitama. But once again, you could also say that Bang doesn't want to get Saitama caught up in all of the hero stuff. We saw that happen in the first season. Bang said he doesn't want to get Saitama involved in the politics of the Hero Association. So again, you can make an argument, a counter argument to what I said, but at the end of the day, you guys kind of get what I mean. The whole fight against Saitama versus Garo pretty much didn't matter. In the end, it didn't really matter because now Saitama has time traveling powers. In the future, he could even time travel. Who knows? Because that's also one thing I want to talk about. The fact that this time traveling thing could be used later on in the series. And if I'm being honest, I hope that doesn't happen. Now, also let me explain. Now, I've already given an example of Genos' death and why that was not as impactful as, it originally was before the time travel. And say, for example, another character in the future dies. All Saitama has to do is, time travel. This is kind of the thing in My Hero Academia where, Eri can just rewind all of the injuries any hero has. Say a hero is about to die, has some fatal injuries, don't worry, Eri can just rewind time. And I know that, the situations aren't completely one-to-one, but you guys get what I mean. The stakes aren't as high anymore, I would say, which I guess is, once again, I don't know, just from my opinion, just from my perspective, I don't really like that. I like high stakes. I like things, consequences. For example, this fight against Saitama versus Garo should have had huge consequences, not only for the Earth, but also for just the individual heroes, etc. But now all of that is just erased thanks to some time traveling powers. And I know you guys might be like, oh, do you want these guys to die or something? You know, I know people love characters like Genos and whatnot, like the other heroes that may have had some fatal injuries. You know, people have fan favorite characters, and I know Marathon One don't want to just kill off these guys because, you know, the fans could get angry, but that's just how it is. Like, if they want to, you know, include this crazy, you know, high stakes fight, then they should also have like consequences for it. And if like the time traveling thing just takes that away, it's not as impactful in my opinion. That's all I really have to say about the time traveling stuff. I want to know what you guys think about the time traveling. I know this video probably isn't going to be as long because, you know, the time traveling aspect, I mean, we haven't delved into it completely yet. Like, it's not been, you know, fully fleshed out. I feel like the time traveling thing is still going to be touched upon later on in the series. But for now, I think that's all I really have to say about the time traveling stuff. If you liked the video, make sure to leave a like. And if you didn't, don't. But apart from that, I'll see you in my next video.